Alright, so here I have the latest skill that I've coded, and I think I made a video on this on the version 1, but I've updated it with a couple new features and fixed a lot of phasing issues, and I've even made it work to where it highlights enemies that it hits. And so let me demonstrate the skill. So basically, this is inspired by a certain mage skill on Mineplex that launches a laser, and it's not really similar to it at all, except for the fact that it is a beam uh, that is being used by the Mage kit. Otherwise, it is completely unique. And so this is a bouncing uh, beam that changes color every time it bounces, and it highlights the block that it hits. Why don't I just show you? So as you can see, it's quite cool. I honestly, I think this skill took me longer than even the Mechanist orthogonal skill did, because this uses aspects from it, i.e. the as you can see, the preview when it hits the block, the glowing block effect. That is something that I took from my idea with orthogonal, and it uses the same concept, which is essentially an invisible, no AI, invincible magma cube that gets deleted uh, after the next bounce happens. But anyway, so right now this does everything I want, and it's not, balanced to be ready for gameplay with the damage and stuff, but right now it does about 4 hearts, I believe, at the max level, which is 5, which seems like a lot, but it's really slow. Like, that's really slow. So, I don't know. Thinking about that in gameplay, um, it seems pretty balanced to me. So here we're probably going to see it expire midair, and that's because it traveled a certain distance before getting to 10 bounces. So there's 2 caps. If it hits 10 bounces, that number will change, or if it hits the max distance that it can travel, or if it goes too high above the sky limit, it also cancels. And additionally, if it's caught inside a block or inside a non-solid block, then it'll just stop. So some of those are debug messages, like I'll probably not include that, but um, maybe I will. But I fixed all of these cases where it would phase through the block. It used to phase through when I did this, when I would put it really close to the corner, but now, as you can see, it works just fine. And I've also fixed the case where it would phase through this tiny little kissing bird corner right here, and I've done that by basically checking with a ray trace each iteration of the beam. And so I can line it up from here, or I could get really close, but it just ends, which I think is fair. It's very unlikely to hit the corner. You've seen the DVD logo. So if you launch it randomly and it hits the corner, it's whatever. It's just unlucky. So now I'm going to test it on this iron golem, and so I'll show you. It highlights the iron golem when it hits it. You can see it highlights it red, and that's because the first beam is red and it lasts for 5 seconds. You can see the beam is still going. So if I hit it and bounce it through the iron golem, and then it hits twice, it will be orange, I believe, because red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, purple, violet. I mean, yep, you can see. It damaged it twice, and then it highlighted it with the color that the beam currently was. So I think that's a really cool effect, and a lot of time went into that as well, figuring out how to do that. That works for players too, and it will highlight players. And so that highlighted effect is really useful because you can see, you know, you can see them through the walls, and you can also see where the beam's kind of going through the wall. And you can see how many players you've hit. So, for example, I hit one skeleton there, meant to hit more, but let's see if I can get a collateral here. One thing that will be included in a further iteration of this skill is the ability to increase the damage that the beam goes. I'm sorry, that the beam deals the more entities of the same type it hits. So there we go, we got a multi-hit there. And don't worry, the hitbox is really accurate. So like the Iron Golem hitbox is pretty fat, and so if I miss it even by the tiniest bit, it shouldn't damage it. Yeah, as you can see, did not hit the Iron Golem. And then if I barely touch the hitbox, then it should damage it. Oh, excuse me. I guess not. Maybe that doesn't count as the hitbox. It does. Okay. Well, I'm not really sure how the air part of the hitbox works, but I don't think you'll be getting any hits that shouldn't be hitting. So, I'm gonna include that in video, not edit it out because that's real. So basically, yeah, I want it to get to the point where if it hits 3 players in a single cast, that it should probably one hit the 3rd player, and if that's unbalanced, maybe we'll make it 4. But I just really want to see some cinematic multi-kills with this thing, and you know, it's random and pretty hard to control. I mean, it's not random; it bounces as it ought to, as a beam of light. But pretty much, if you're running around and trying to use it in PvP, there's almost no way you're going to be able to predict where the 10th bounce is. You know, like here, let's try to guess where this is going to end up. Is this going to end up in front of me or behind me? Here we go. Kind of behind me to the side. I honestly didn't know. And so, I think this is going to have lots of utility in, you know, it's going to be a good zoning tool because you can like block off an entranceway, or I think it's also going to be really good against bosses because of the multiple hits that it can get, and like the increased damage that it deals. And so I think damaging one entity multiple times is good, and I think it'll also ramp up the damage. However, I do want to put one check in, and this is all, you know, theoretical since I haven't coded the part where it deals increased damage per entity. But I would like this to deal, you know, 1 times, 2 times, 3 times damage, or whatever it is, if it hit all 3 of them in a row. But if that 3rd entity was not an Iron Golem, it would only deal 1 times damage to that entity. Because what I don't want players doing is sitting in their base and then getting some friends, or like, sorry, what I meant to say is getting like some chickens or something, and then having the damage ramp up through the chickens, and then one hitting a random player afterwards, because the 3rd time would be 3 times damage or whatever. And so the way I'm going to counteract that is making it check the entity type of the hit player, and if that entity type has multiple hits before, then it'll deal, you know, increased damage based on the number of previous hits. So I think that's how I'm going to do it. But anyway, I hope you think this skill is as cool as I do, and I hope you're looking forward to playing my clan's server this year. Peace.